What's up, YouTube? It's Pelfrey, your host for the Red Sea Reefer 250. A little bit to talk about. So in the last video, I did two 25, 28-ish gallon water changes to an attempt to bring down my phosphates. I've just recently been testing the phosphates, and then nitrates, and both of them were ridiculous. Now, I used the Hanna phosphorus checker. It flashed at 200. 200 is apparently its highest value it could read. It flashed at 200, and yeah, so I just decided to do some water changes. So I did the first water change, and then like 2 days later, I did the second water change. And 2 or 3 days after that, I let the system kind of settle into itself. I tested phosphates again and nitrates. Nitrates went down. Phosphates were the same, flashing 200. So at this point, I'm a little confused. I'm like, the water change may not have brought it down to zero, but I felt like it was going to be pretty close to zero. So after trying to figure out what this is, the rocks have been in here for a long time. That sand is now 5.5 years old. So, I don't think that it's the rocks or the sand. I'm losing this hammer coral over here, which does not, losing any corals doesn't make me happy, but this one was my first hammer coral, so that does not make me happy at all. So again, nitrates did go down, and phosphates were through the roof. So I tested my RO water, or my RODI water, and it had like 36, so it's like 0.11 phosphates in the test that I ran. Real quick, let me backtrack. Also, the reagent that I'm using is not expired. I thought that maybe the reagent was expired and given that false reading. And I do have calibration fluid for the like the 2 vials that's Hanna sells, that you can check the calibration of your checker, and it came back at 0, which is where it should be. So anyway, yeah, my RODI water has phosphates in it. So I didn't, the only thing that I did was I wasted a bunch of water. More importantly, wasted a bunch of time, and I should have just checked my water storage to begin with. And it's not the containers, because they're water safe containers. It's the actual water. And I've run into this before. It seems like I have a lot of these things where I continue to say I'm not going to do them, and then here I am again. But I only run that RO system like 4 or 6 times a year. And whenever I do, I usually make like 80 gallons. And if I'm not doing water changes, that 80 gallons will last me like 13 weeks. So yeah, I'm not running it very often. And I need to put a calendar, something on my calendar that just says to flush it for like 15 seconds once a week, run about a minute or 2 of water through it, and then turn it off. And I have the system set up so that I could easily do that. Now the downside is the unit is up high, so I have to use a stool to get up there to do the flush. I may look at getting an auto flush now, but I have a 3-way valve in here. And whenever I first turn the system on, so this is wastewater, yellow's wastewater. When I first turn the system on and I'm flushing it, this is pointing here, and it just goes down into the drain. Whenever I turn the flush off and actually start making water, I'll run this for like 30 seconds or so just to clean the lines out with the flushed water per se, or so to say. And I'll flip this over here, which means that this water goes to my water container. So this valve, this 3-way valve, makes it simple to just run it once a week. But now I need to get that carbon block looks good. The sediment filter's a little colored, and that is very, very dirty. So I need to order some more. I've only used SpectraPure. I actually looked at Bulk Reef Supply, just because I can get free shipping, because anything you order from SpectraPure, you don't get free shipping. But I'm going to just go ahead and get another DI, another sediment, and I may get a carbon block and just hold on to it since I have to pay for the shipping anyway. And then I looked at a secondary DI chamber. And I have no clue how to hook that up. So I may get the secondary DI, so that would have prevented possibly prevented the phosphate issue, I believe. And if I'm wrong here, please let me know, because I don't know anything about these water systems. Now that I've determined my RO water has phosphates in it, I came up with a plan, and we're going to see how this plan works. So number one, I made a post on Instagram asking anybody if they had a reactor that they're wanting to get rid of before I buy a new one. And I only need a BRS, a mini reactor. So, basically just reached out and said, hey, if you have one and you're not using it and you want to sell it, let me know. So luckily, multiple people have reactors laying around that they're not wanting to use. So I should have one here later this week. First things first, I'm going to run phosphate media on the tank and get the phosphates lower on the tank, because this is where the inhabitants are, and this is what my primary focus here. Then I'm going to refill the phosphate media in the reactor, and I'm going to run it on both of my water containers. Yes. Excuse me. So instead of dumping that water out and wasting it, I figured it'd be best for me, and this may not work, but I figured it would be best to run the reactor with phosphate removal for each container, let it run for a little while, a couple days or so, and then test it for phosphates. And if it does still have phosphates, then I'll dump the water out. But by running the reactor through there, it saves me a lot of time, a lot of money. Well, I say a little bit of money by not having to run the water. So, yeah, the corals, for the most part, are doing pretty good, except for, like I said, my hammer section over here is looking, and this torch over here has been gone for a little bit. This one slowly started to sliver away. Tank is a little bit cloudy because I just cleaned the glass. If you don't know this, and at least in my instance, anytime I have high phosphates, my glass gets dirty very, very quick. And normally you can see right through there, but you can see that there's a cloud in the tank. Also, what I did was I increased the light on my refugium. So I was only running it for about, from like 9 o'clock to about 7 or 8. So almost, we'll say 10, 11, 12 hours, something like that. So I increased it by 4 hours. And I started doing some reading, and some people run their refugium lights 24 hours a day. And if you're in that camp, please let me know. I'm interested to know how long people run the refugium lights. I've had great success from like 9 p.m. to 7. And the reason behind that is, I don't know the science, it's just what I've read, is if you run your refugium opposite of your display, that will balance the pH. Now, I don't know that because I don't have a pH controller, but that's just what's worked for me. So yeah, I did get the refugium adjusted to help hopefully pull out some of the phosphates there. And I know I mentioned in a video a while back, I bought some phosphate powder just in case I would ever need it. And sounds like to me, I just need to run my Rhodey a little less if I want to create some phosphates, because I'm pretty sure that DI stage is the root cause of this. Now that long-winded story about my issue with phosphates is over with, hopefully I've helped you and reminded you to either run your RO system frequently or keep filters on hand, or just replace filters and make sure that you have newer filters. Stay tuned for an update. I don't know if it'll be when this update will come out, as far as, getting new filters and the reactor and all that. It just depends on when I start getting that stuff in. But as for now, I'm going to let you be. It's a beautiful day outside here in Kentucky. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Be sure to check out the website at pelfrey.net. Check me out on Instagram at pelfreysreef, and I'll see you all next time.